This is Hoodies. Yep. I'll be the first to say that 99% of healthcare professionals have your best interests at heart and have chosen their profession in an attempt to be caretakers of the sick and needy. However, the sad truth is that in the textbooks, university studies, curriculum, drug trials, and continuing education are all funded in large majority by the same companies that profit off your misery and ignorance. Here's another sad truth. There's no money in curing diseases, but there's no money in dying a quick death either, unless you're a mortician. The real money is snuggled right in between the two. The fat, sick, and nearly dead who live a poor, extended quality of life propped up by therapies never designed to cure them of their actual ailment, because they do not address the actual cause of the disease. True health can only be maintained and regained by prevention, and prevention's greatest weapon in the war on chronic disease, premature death, and compromised immune system is live foods and waters, with adequate physical activity and a sound mind and spirit. Welcome back to another dope session of Hoodies the Podcast. I'm the host, the God Rashidi, coming at you live from the Skill Suite. We're maybe not so live, but we're coming at you. Blue! That book is called Vegetation Over Medication, Myths, Lies, and Truths About Modern Foods and Medicines by Dr. Bobby J. Price. This ain't about to be an episode about health and stuff like that, right? But then again, it is. Check me out. That's no secret. That ain't no secret. This is no secret. I bet you a lot of the people that's in hospitals or you know what I mean, who's sick, this, that, and the third, I guarantee you a large portion of them are in the condition that they are in because of their diet. And they are in not only that, like the book just says, and various other books say the same thing, there's no money in the cure. Right? So, man, even though there is a cure, there's all kinds of cures, right? You could cure, like for example, I don't know what the hoopla is about Candace Owens, but every time I hear her talk, she's always on point to me. Every time I hear her talk, I don't see what the big deal is. I'm not necessarily sure what people's problem is with Candace Owens.
We all are aware of what happened on campus last year.
I'm not.
Great, look it up. It was just involving LGBTQ members of the community feeling unsafe with rhetoric that's being shared.
Like if you're a biological man and someone says, hey, what's up, dude?
More of like there's students on campus that are living in communities where they don't feel safe because of rhetoric explaining that transphobia isn't accepted. So how do you think free speech impacts everybody in community?
Yeah, I mean, the idea that if somebody looks at a man and calls them a man, that they're suddenly unsafe because they've created a false reality in their own head. Yeah, I don't abide by that. I had a stalker who had suffered from schizophrenia, and he very much believed that he and I were in a relationship, and he would send me about 100 emails a day, okay? In the world of what you believe in your own head now needs to be accepted as reality, I would have had to marry him and raise my children with him. And me saying that this person needs to stay away from me and my family because there's something wrong with him and he was threatening to kill me if I didn't, raise my child with him, that was reality. The left is trying to make it seem that people who see reality for what it is are demented and are creating unsafe territory, and that's not the truth. In fact, what I think is unsafe territory is for people to be affirmed in their delusions. They wouldn't follow you around and say, hey, you're a male, totally fine, go live your life as you want to live your life. But when you say that the way that you live your life now has to impact me and I have to pretend that I see a woman when clearly you are a man, I shouldn't have to play that game. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thought we were hot. We so clearly were not. We looked like kids. We looked appropriate. Yeah. And these kids are skipping that. I look at these young girls, and they're 9 and they're 10, and they're trying to look like Kim Kardashian.
I'm really not. I don't get it. And it's black folk that got an issue with her.
Don't worry. I'm going to keep this quick. But Black America, you owe me an an apology. And I want my apology. Okay? Because, that was a long couple of years. If you guys calling me a race traitor because I refused to be an idiot and I was obviously recognizing the scam that was Black Lives Matter, I was obviously able to discern that they were using the faces of dead black people to get you guys to run around, act like fools, get your sons and daughters arrested in protests, wearing signs, painting streets, BLM, BLM, not realizing this is free marketing. This is how marketing works in business. Everybody ran around to be a billboard for Black Lives Matter. They got white people, you owe me an apology too, white liberals running around with their guilt, opening their wallets, bending down to Black Lives Matter, and nobody asked the question about where all the money was going. If you guys did not recognize that it was a corporate scam, how do you think they got the NBA on board so quickly, the NFL on board so quickly? How do you think they managed to transform America so quickly with politicians demanding that there was Black Lives Matter squares and Black Lives Matter signs? I mean, you were looking at a business that was being built very quickly around a suspicious time, election time, when the riots seemed to keep happening. Black Lives Matter. They were telling you COVID didn't matter. Protesting was more important. Anybody with common sense knew that this was a money laundering operation. Anybody with common sense knew that Black Lives Matter was raising money for something other than black people. You're looking around, there was no headquarters. There was no intent to say they were going to build a school, that they were going to give out scholarships to black people. There was nothing that was done other than demanding your allegiance. And some of you guys, a lot of you guys got on board and got angry at Candace Owens and other people too, who were telling you that this was a scam. You called me so many racist names and said that I betrayed my race, when in reality, you were betraying your intelligence. You were too emotional to see what was obvious and right in front of you. So now the narrative's cracking. Patrice Cullors got $3 million in homes separately. These other three people, they bought as just now a $6 million house. That's $9 million. There was some house that was announced in Canada that she bought for her girlfriend. Okay, that's totaling around, let's call that $12 million. Here's the best part. You're not done finding out. This is nothing, okay? Black Lives Matter announced that they raised over $90 million, okay? They were funded, they were bussed. All of this stuff was paid for by white Democratic operatives, right? Where's the rest of the money? They're getting you focused to look at the three black people, but those people are at the bottom of the organization, okay? These people were just dogs that were willing to betray their race, were willing to let black people get arrested, were willing to allow, black Americans to riot in the streets for these young kids to get records. They didn't care, right? Those were just your average day hustlers, these three women, right? These three black women were just your regular day of scam artists, right? Like, that's just the stuff that you see. How do you guys recognize scam artists? They're at the bottom. Who's at the top? That's the question you should be asking yourself. It's not going to be a black person. It's going to be white people, right? Because it's only white people. It could only be a white person that is sitting at the top when you looked at who was pouring cash initially into Black Lives Matter, right? I kept telling you it was using black faces as a front, and they were raising a bunch of money. It's going to be a white person.
I never saw the issue with the things Kevin Samuels said. He was brutally honest with men, brutally honest with women. But for whatever reasons, he got a whole lot of backlash and a lot of money he made when he talked about women. However, his conversation, the men and women conversation, could have been the cure. As far as I'm concerned, it was the cure. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of what I hear from Candace Owens has a lot of the cure in it. A lot of the cure. There's various cures. Like war. There's money in war. There's no money in peace. You understand what I'm saying? There's money in sickness. Being fat, being sick, and nearly dead. There's money in that shit. Okay, the likes of Candace Owens will never get love. She'll never get love, because if she gets love and other women like her, there will be absolutely no room for artists like Sexy Red. There will be no room for her. Now, why this young lady, and I ain't gonna talk bad about her, but the music is trash. Let's call it what it is. The bars ain't really all that. I can critique that. I ain't gonna talk about her, but the music is trash. Dead ass. How that music, her music, is allowed to be as popular as it is crazy. Her voice is way louder than Candace Owens. Candace Owens, as far as I'm concerned, has a bit of the cure. Kevin Samuels, when he was alive, was going to team up, according to Sister Elder Shahrazad Ali, she was going to team up with Kevin Samuels. And they was going to do great work. You know what I'm saying? Kind of bring the battle of the sexes to a head.
Have you heard of, or what do you think about Kevin Samuels? If you don't want to answer that, you don't have to.
Oh, I can answer that. He was my friend. We talk. Listen, let me tell you how things go for me. Kevin and I were planning this huge event in a stadium in Atlanta, in an arena rather. Okay? He and I was working together on that. We finally had got it together because he called me and he was very respectful. He always acknowledged that he got what he got from me. Okay? And that he, respected me and honored me for that. But we were going to have this big event. We were going to get so paid. Okay? And then this Negro would go and die. Not get sick. Die. Okay? he took my money with him, But,
you teamed up with Kevin Samuels?
The book did produce Kevin Samuels, my boy. And he's my spiritual son, I call him. And, he came out and took it a step further. I tried to, what I consider was gently tell people about our situation and to stop us from controlling you all with not only insults, but with sex. There have been a lot of things we have been able to manipulate our men with just based on those things. Plus, we convince you to tell us your secrets. And then the first time we get mad, then we go and tell them. We'll tell the police. We'll tell your mama. We'll tell your children. We'll tell anybody. And so I'm trying to get us to stop practicing that, to pull that back. And if we speak a good word for our men, that if we defend you publicly, like they defend their men.
I'm of the belief that his untimely passing is a little suspect. I believe that it is. I don't know for sure. What I do know is that there's no money in the cure. You understand what I'm saying? It's like the whole voting process, right? Ain't no cure in that. No cure whatsoever. I'm of the belief that whoever they want in office is who's going to be in office. And that the whole election process, the voting process, is just a sideshow to give off the illusion of inclusion, just to make us feel like we're a part of that process. Now, I admit, I haven't been big on local voting. I ain't gonna front. I've never found a candidate for whatever, mayor, governor, councilman, alderman, any of those things, your sheriff, your judge, your local judge or whatever. I've never voted on any of those things. So I can't make comments in terms of whether or not that method of voting is actually effective. I have yet to hear about. See, I'll know when you start seeing community centers being built and shit like that. Well, there is one not too far from here. On matter of fact, right here on Warwick. It's further down Warwick. So there is something. So I can't necessarily comment about the local elections. You wonder why there's a shortage of black male teachers in the schools? What do you think would happen if there was an abundance of black male teachers in schools to talk to these young black girls and boys? How you think that would go? Ain't no money in the cure. We need y'all dysfunctional. We need the music to spew dysfunction. We need the reality TV shows to spew dysfunction. Because how do we profit if black folk act like they got some sense? You know what I'm saying? Chairman Fred Hampton, the late Chairman Fred Hampton, brought everybody together. White folk, Latinos, black folk, and everybody in between. That shit had to be shut the fuck down. The last thing we need is the people. The people. And when I say the people, I mean everybody. All walks of life. The last thing we need says they, them. The last thing we need is black folk or everybody coming together and start sharing information. Because where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? No. That sounds like the cure, and there's no money in the cure. There's no money in the cure. There's no glory in the cure. Only in the sickness. We don't want you alive and well, and we don't want you to die either. Because there's no money in the cure. That's why you ain't gonna see peace among nations. That's why you ain't gonna see peace among black folk and white folk. No. Why? Why would we have that? Why would we have that? We need some level of civil unrest. When you watch, listen, if you turned on your local news, right, and outside of the weather and this, that, and the third, and the events, and like in the summertime, there's this festival going on, that festival, that carnival, that this, that. Outside of that, oh no. We gotta give you this dose of helicopter crashes. We gotta give you this dose of a mass shooting, a helicopter crashing. We gotta give you that, because there's no money in the cure. There's no money in peace and order. Ain't no money in that. Shit. Would lawyers have a job if there was order? No, there would be no order. Where would the money be at? We can't have black folks standing on this square. We can't have all walks of life actually getting along and sharing information. No, we can't let that happen. It's because there's no money in it. And we damn sure can't let y'all be healthy. People, I said all of that to say that we are fucked. It's a crapshoot. We're fucked. We are fucked. Let's call it what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yo, imagine if parents, still work their regular 9 to 5 and the whole nine. Imagine if they started to homeschool. I mean, the kids still going to regular school, be it private or public, whatever. But imagine if parents were still homeschooling kids to supplement the education. Kind of give them the information that the schools don't teach. Because I get why the schools don't teach shit. I get that. I've been knew that. Because the school can't pump out self-reliant individuals. No, because if you do that, then who will wash the cars at the car wash? Who will flip the burgers? Who will mop the floors? Who will drop the fries? And no disrespect to the people who are in those professions. No disrespect. But we need robots for the most part. We need robots that we can control. We also need chaos. We need sickness, man. Because there's money in sickness. There's money in that shit. So whenever you see some shit popping off somewhere in the world and it's all over the news, as far as I'm concerned, you may process it totally different. But as far as I'm concerned, we're being distracted from something else. Something else just as wicked and fucked up. Dysfunction is at an all-time high. Black dysfunction is at an all-time high. Man, I'm not a religious man, but I'm starting to really, really understand the whole concept of being in the world, but not of it. It's wicked out here. It's crazy out here. Keep your head on a swivel, man. Keep your head on a swivel. And listen, when I say that there's no cure and that there's no money in the cure, there's no money in the cure for companies and entities and conglomerates and oligarchs and shit like that. There's no money in that for them. Right? However, there is currency in the cure in our homes. We can start with the food that we consume orally. Then, of course, there's the old adage of the things we consume. You know what I mean? You know, the things that we watch and read and the company we keep and shit like that. There is money. There is currency in the cure in that way. We just got to be prepared and keep our heads on a swivel once we walk out that door, man. Word. Race against time. I got to get out of here. My next client will be here in about 20 minutes. And that'll be my last client for the day. Hit the gym and do what I does, cuz. Word. So thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the comments, the likes. Man, I'm still thankful anyway. If 2 of you seen this, thank you, man. Thank you. I'm the God Rashidi. And this is Hoodies, man. With the cure. Even though there's no money in it.
Subscribe to this channel.
This is Hoodies.